After the tragedy at the Tree of Life Synagogue in Squirrel Hill, questions remain about the future of the building.
Will the synagogue be torn down or will it be restored to its former state? Andy Sheehan explains why coming to a decision isn't easy for anyone.
There is no guidebook, no blueprint, no prescribed way for a community to move forward after an act of mass murder. 10 months after the Tree of Life Massacre, the empty, shrouded building serves as a constant reminder of that sorrow.
And every time there's another shooting, I think for a lot of people, it brings it back up.
But as they approach the first anniversary of the tragedy, Tree of Life and the 2 other congregations who worship there know that move forward they must. And that means making decisions. First, what to do with the donations that poured in from around the country and the world.
There's an audit underway that will determine donor intent.
Tree of Life Executive Director Barb Feige says she doesn't know the full amount, but it's safe to say it's in the several millions of dollars. And while some checks arrived stating the money should go to the victims and their families, others were not specific.
The very caring family in Texas who wanted to do something out of love and a sense of healing wrote a check to Tree of Life. They didn't know, they may or may not have had something in mind.
Distribution and dissemination of that money must be made by the 3 congregations. And since consensus is difficult, Feige says an outside facilitator will oversee that process.
We're family by blood, marriage, and the choices of somebody else that we had nothing to do with, right? We're forever connected here. And so we need to work these things out.
The other, more difficult decision is what to do with the building itself. An emotionally charged discussion with strong opinions on all sides, where some believe restoring it would honor the victims, others say they could never set foot in Tree of Life again.
The building is different things to different people. Some people maybe would like to see it left as it is and just consecrated or memorialized as is. Other people say, tear it down, get rid of it, it's too painful.
A steering committee from the Tree of Life Board is heading up those discussions with the congregations and other stakeholders from the community. What's clear at this point is that there will be a memorial to the victims built on the site, and the main sanctuary where no bullets flew will be preserved.
The rest of the building, it's possible we may take it down and start over. It's possible we may take it to the studs and work on the interior. It's all up for discussion.
They're decisions that require the wisdom of Solomon, balancing the need to honor the victims and address the wishes and needs of those who live on.
So how do we make it a place of memorial and a place of community at the same time?
Now, these decisions won't be easily arrived at, and they will take time. But later this week, the Jewish Federation will be announcing ways in which the community will be commemorating the first-year anniversary of the Tree of Life tragedy on October 27th. The theme of that commemoration will be Remember, Repair, Together. Kim, Stacy, back to you.